Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another video. You know, we got to talk about this one. As I did in my last video, I showed you guys that the friends of Nolan pretty much started a give, send, go. And guess who's promoting their page, guys? Guess who promote their page? That's right, Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum is promoting the give, send, go of Nolan's friends. Now, what does that mean when you think about this situation? What does all of this mean? It means that he already been compromised in terms of being bought and paid for, because in many different videos he have concluded that the family of Nolan, that they're grifters, which they are grifters. I mean, it would make perfect sense that they're grifters, but at the same time you would think that he would have the same energy and basically say the same thing about them as well. But no, he promoted the give, send, go on his YouTube channel to try to help them raise money. If that's not a sign that Officer Tatum really do in fact work for the white community, there's nothing else I can tell you. Now, when it comes to this case, I've been 100% fair and balanced, which means I'm not on nobody's side, guys. I don't work for the black community and I don't work for the white community. I just speak the truth to bring about justice, change, and to really make people think about what's happening in the world. I was expecting that Officer Tatum would have the same energy in terms of saying, hey, wait a minute, why these guys are setting up give, send, go accounts trying to make money? Why is it okay for white people to set up and fundraise, but if everybody else do, they're grifters? I got a problem with that. I got a problem with he's promoting their give, send, go as if it's the right thing to do. If it's the right thing, Tatum, why don't you foot the bill? Why don't you pull a Tyler Perry and pay for the whole thing? You know, just pay for the whole thing. You got the money, right? Pay Nolan's friends the whole 100,000. Why promote it? Why promote it on your platform? And yet you want to say that the family is grifting. See, this is the double standard, and I now see and believe and understand why so many commentators have an issue with Brandon Tatum. It is because he's not really fair. He tries his best to appease a certain community, and it's very clear and evident. It's very clear, guys, because if he was the type of guy who was fair and balanced, he would literally condemn any such fundraising and say, wait a minute, if you guys are innocent, why would you even need to do this? Why? That mean that he been working with them the whole time, guys. That's why I told you when we look at those interviews with the boys, those interviews were not interviews that were, you know, impartial, non-biased. No. The interviews were biased from the start, and it was designed to be in favor of the boys so that they can, I guess, make their public image look good. That is what this was about, guys. This was not about finding the truth. This was about making those boys look good. And I believe that Brandon is not only getting paid, but this is his job. His job is to play the game so the white community can be happy with his work. Now remember, he's married to a white woman, so naturally he's gonna flow towards that route. But what I don't like, guys, with what he's doing is that he's not being fair. He's not being fair in what his approach is, because the way I look at it is this. If he's gonna say that this other family is grifting and that they're taking advantage of the people and they're just trying to raise money, then he should feel the same exact way about the friends. Because again, if these guys are innocent, why are they so concerned about what people are saying on social media? If I know I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not going to be hiring attorneys. I'm not going to be doing none of that stuff because I didn't do anything. You know, they could file lawsuits. They could file whatever they want to file. If I know I'm innocent, no matter what you say, it's not going to work against me because I don't have no part in what happened to that kid. But when people are guilty, when people know they did something, when people know that they possibly may have tried to cover up a situation, it becomes a life or death situation where they feel like, hey, we got to do something about this. We got to act. So I personally believe that by them claiming that they want to sue, they want to go after the influencers, they want to go after this, it's going to be a very, very, very tough battle because they lumped everybody in one basket. I could understand them being upset with people that fabricate lies, people that manipulate information. That type of stuff I can understand. But at the same time, when you are innocent, you don't really care about what people think. You don't care about what opinions are out there. You know, if anything, they need to focus on the individuals who caused the offense. For example, the woman who made the misleading audio. That woman, yes, I could understand you doing that, right? Ben Crump, for the fact that they are using the Nolan Wells case to promote racial divide and false accusations and try to make Nolan's friends look like they killed them. I could understand you feeling some type of way about that. But if you are trying to silence public opinion, if you are trying to silence detractors, if you are trying to cause people to not question these young men, that is where I have a very serious problem, because the public want to know what happened. And maybe these young men did not kill this boy. Maybe they didn't kill him, but maybe they covered it up. Maybe they know exactly what happened. And because they know what happened, they're trying to cover it up. We, the public, don't know these things. That is why people question what they're doing. So when we see that Tatum is literally siding with these boys, Tatum is basically saying that these boys are 100% innocent and hold no responsibility in the death of Nolan Wells. Now again, I have never at no point said that these boys killed this kid. I never said that. What I'm doing and what I've been covering is the fact that there are too many discrepancies with this case. Number one, we have conflicting stories where the boys are claiming that, you know, they tried to get him on the boat. You had Warren that claimed his friend was telling Nolan to get on the boat, to get on the effing boat. But at no point did Warren say to Nolan to get on the boat. These are things, guys, that we have to look at. Why is it that Warren never asked his best friend to get on the boat? If Warren's buddy had to tell Nolan to get on the boat multiple times, and Warren never told his good friend to get on the boat, even though it's very clear that under those circumstances, we can clearly know for a fact that Nolan was under the influence of alcohol. And for whatever reason, he was not listening, at least from their storyline. But my point is, when you have a young man who is intoxicated, a young man who can possibly drown if the circumstances presents itself, his friends have and hold a responsibility to make sure that he get back home safe. So if you're telling him to get back on the boat, if you're telling him, come on, let's go, it really has nothing to do with a girl that he's with. That is a lie. They knew that he was drunk. They knew that he was inebriated. They understood that he may have allegedly been using drugs. Something was going on with that young man, and that is why they was trying their best to get him on the boat, at least from their story. At the same time, I'm not saying that these young men purposely tried to unalive Nolan. I've never said that because there's no facts that can substantiate those claims. But, with a capital B, we can conclude that based on the timeline of events, that the friends did in fact have a responsibility to make sure that if they're all heading back home, that they should be making sure that no man is left behind. Can we all agree? Which brings us to the conflicting stories. They told us that they tried to get him on the boat. Then they claimed that he decided that he wanted to stay back. Now, what is that designed to do? That is to create an alibi so that when they go to court, so that when they go to trial, they're able to play this for the grand jury and everybody else involved. To say, well, he's 18, he made a choice, we don't have no responsibility with that. So what they did is, they came up with this alibi that he was hanging with a young lady. But the young lady, based on their own testimony, claimed that the last time she seen Nolan was when they were trying to get him on the boat. So now what that does, it raises more questions than answers, because that would imply that right when these young men were telling him, get on the boat, get on the effing boat, once this took place, the girl basically heard the same exact thing. So at that point, that was the last time she actually heard that. That was the last time she seen him. So when you factor in all of these clues, when you look at the evidence, it is very clear and evident that they knew exactly what was going on. He was drunk. He was intoxicated. He was under the influence of some sort of drug. He was left at sea and he drowned. It's just that simple. So when you factor that in, guys, what we have is negligent homicide. What you have is a situation of people who claim that they're his friends, but they left him behind. Let's factor in some more fun facts. If you know that you're leaving him on an island, you would want him to have his cell phone. Why? Because he's able to communicate with you. So rather than leaving him by himself with no way to get back, because we don't know the circumstances surrounding what happened. We don't know if all those people were out there, because here's the question. More people would be coming forward to talk about this. Think about this, guys. If thousands of people were really out there, then guess what? Somebody that was out there would know and would say, wait a minute, we seen the boys when their boat was sinking. We seen what happened. We know what happened, but we don't see nothing. We don't hear nothing. So it's almost as if though Nolan was left behind. That's how it's looking. Up to now, we don't know what time Katie left, because the question remains, what time did she leave? If she was the last one to be with Nolan, what time did she leave? Because all of this will play a huge factor in this case. What time did she leave? And why they didn't give Nolan his phone. Because when we listen to Warren's testimony, he claimed that when he got back home, he went to another buddy's house where they had a swimming pool and they were, having a good time. And all of this is while his best friend is drunk somewhere on Horn Island. You got to think about this. It's almost like, why would you leave him then and go party somewhere else? You see what I'm saying? And then he said he got concerned for Nolan and started to ask other people, where's Nolan? Have anybody seen Nolan? Well, if Nolan had his cell phone, he would know to call Nolan. But because nobody gave Nolan his cell phone, nobody couldn't call him. So it put the case in a situation, guys, where it becomes very difficult to understand what's really happening. Because it's like, wait a minute, who and what and where and why? How could you guys leave your friend behind with no cell phone, no means of calling for help, no way to let people know what happened? That puts Nolan in a very vulnerable place, because Katie basically left. All of Nolan's friends left. Everybody got on a boat and bounced. So we got a kid who is intoxicated, possibly on drugs, by himself, no cell phone, no way of calling for help. For all we know, all of this time while Nolan was out there, he was seeking help, but he had no way to communicate with the outside world because he was on an island by himself. Up to now, we don't have nobody coming forward saying that we saw the boat when it was sinking. You don't have no witnesses. You don't have no testimony. There is no one till this day that have come forward and said, we seen those boys. So it's almost like a mystery where they may have possibly been out there by themselves. And it may not have been the timeline that we've been told, guys. This is why we have to do these investigations. This is why we have to talk about these issues. Because the last thing we want, guys, is for a cover-up to take place. And cover-ups do happen. Because when you really think about it, if you look at the other previous case that happened, you had a kid who drowned. And he happens to be a black kid. And his white friend basically tampered with evidence in the case. He basically erased text messages, got rid of clothing, and tried to make it look like he wasn't there. So when you look at that case, and you look at the fact that his own friend tampered with evidence in order to remove himself from any accountability, even though he wasn't the one who murdered the kid. It was an accidental drowning. But he never notified law enforcement. He basically brushed it under the rug. If that happened in that case, think about it. That can happen in any case. And this is why we have to examine all parts, every detail, move every stone, every rock in order to find the truth. For all we know, this death of Nolan Wells is a cover-up in order to protect these boys so that they don't face any accountability for their actions. And this to me is disgusting, that Tatum would be promoting these boys as if though they are innocent. Now see, here's the problem, guys. Watch this. Warren's father is upset that people on social media are alleging that the boys murdered Nolan Wells. Think about that, guys. Now watch logic. If the family of Warren, Bart, and everybody is upset that people are accusing them of murdering Nolan Wells or may have a hand in what happened to him, if they all feel that, then why is it okay for Officer Tatum and various other supporters of the boys to believe that they're innocent and didn't do nothing? Why is it okay to believe that the boys are innocent, didn't do anything wrong, and they are clear and free to go? Why is it okay to have that opinion? But if you have the opinion that they have some involvement in the death of Nolan Wells, all of a sudden you are met with threats of being sued, threats of litigation, and so forth. You don't see the hypocrisy? You don't see the double standard? Now that is the definition of what a racist would do. That is the definition of what a racist would do, guys. They don't have a problem with trying to silence people from having an opinion. But when they find it convenient for themselves to consider the boys to be innocent, we're supposed to just go along with the get along gang, right? So Officer Tatum believed that the boys are innocent, and that's perfectly okay. He can he can promote their give, send, go. He can do all of that. But for some reason, when it comes to, the detractors, the critics, for some reason, we got a problem with them. Now, granted, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people that have been spreading lies. There's a lot of people that have been spreading rumors. I get it. The false audio that's out, people that are making AI videos, people that are accusing the boys of murder without facts. I get it. But trying to silence people or talk about you're suing, and it doesn't make any sense, because it's almost like if I'm a content creator and I'm saying, nah, them boys, Nolan friends, oh, they're innocent. Why is it okay for me to believe that? Why? It don't make no sense, guys. It don't make no sense at all. Why is it okay for me to feel that way? It makes no sense. But guys, I'm gonna get back to this workout, do some push-ups, do what I need to do. And I want you guys to leave comments. Let me know what you think of the video. And I'll be back, guys, later on. We're gonna go live. I gotta review Judge Mathis. I gotta review a lot. There's a lot of content. I gotta expose a lot of the grifters and the liars. It's very important that I do this, guys. So rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know how you feel about it. If you feel I'm doing a good job, if you like the fact that I'm pretty much impartial, I'm not basically biased towards anyone. I haven't made this a race issue. I'm just focusing on why is it that Officer Tatum can promote a give, send, go account and not call these young men grifters if they're supposed to be innocent. And why would they want to sue people and silence people because of opinions, but it's okay for Officer Tatum to basically proclaim their innocence with no facts? That's a problem. Tatum, we know you've been bought and paid for. We know you work for the established system, we know that you really are buck dancing for the white man, because if you truly are unbiased, impartial, then you would do the right thing and call out the friends of Nolan and say, wait a minute, guys, you can't go out here starting fundraisers, because if you call the family grifters, then you're supposed to call them grifters too. Leave your comments, guys. Let me know what you think of the video. I'm out. Peace.